that can't be the speaker. They want to put that on there like that. Oh, it's just a, okay. Alright. It is. There's a speaker in there. But there's no wires. However, there's two pins right there. That's why I thought I broke the wires off, because of those two pins. Well, when it snaps back together, those two pins will rest on these two brass tabs and make the connection. I mean, it worked. However, will it work once I take it apart? That's another story. Okay, now how does this come off? Let's look for some screws. Usually they just kind of pop out or slide out. I have seen some with a couple little screws in them, though. That's why I want to look. Now, how these usually work is that the buttons on the inside that you're not seeing have like little contacts in them, or they have a little bump on it, and the other side of the board, in this case, has little pressure switches. In this case, it's a pressure switch. Hear that? So that's what that is. So as far as a contact issue, it's not. Because again, if it had the little round, what you call it here, like little contacts, then I just have to brush this a little bit and clean it and then snap it back together and everything should work. However, it's a pressure problem, which means these buttons are worn down a little bit and they're not pushing down enough to trigger the switch. You follow me? I will follow you. I was trying to figure out a way of possibly, let's see what I don't see here. That's what I'm trying to see. Oh, okay, there it is. There are two little buttons. Not buttons, but little rubber gizmos there. Because this whole pad is made up of rubber. So the object here is now, I am going to call them up and tell them I need another one. However, I think I can fix this one. The object is making sure that everything is back in place, because it is rubber, so things want to move once you take them out of their mold. So you gotta make sure everything falls back into their little homes. Now, here's the problem. I either have to figure out a way of raising the little rubber buttons or raising these so that when I push the button, it works. Because right now, when I push the button, it's kind of lost and it's not giving me a full push. You guys follow me so far? So, I really don't want to do it. If I do anything on this, I'm going to have to probably solder it. And I really don't want to start soldering to a circuit board. And this board here, I don't know if you can see it, but it has a little protective covering over it. And I really don't feel like pulling that off. Actually, I may not even be able to get it off. That may be applied with heat and things. Yeah. So, doing anything to the board is basically out. Well, I'm wondering if I put a little dab of glue on there and a couple little pieces of something. I don't think there's anything wrong with the circuit board. I mean, I can't see how anything could have gone wrong with that, so I'm not going to concern myself with that. The light, or the what you call it, the infrared lighting here, it looks good, and everything else works except for the volume button. And there was another one, I forgot what it was, which is this one right here, this little double set, which is this one on this side. Yeah, I can probably, well, you know, I can do it to either side, I guess. What I'm thinking here is, I don't know if I have anything that's small. If I have something that's small, that I can just kind of put a drop of glue on it, and put a drop of that on there, but it's got to be really small, and it's not going to be real fat. I mean, I need something maybe as thick as a matchbook cover. I mean, I don't need a lot. And I only need a piece maybe a 1/16 of an inch by a 1/16 of an inch square. You know, so I'm just talking a little speck of dust, basically. Trying to think, what do I have out here? Hold on a minute. Let me go look at my box of diorama stuff. I didn't mean to take so long, guys. I'll edit out all the dead space. You ever see these little foam balls? I don't know if you can even see it in my fingers, but it's a little foam ball, and it crushes and it goes back to somewhat of its original shape. And when it's crushed all the way, oops, naturally it still has a little substance to it, so I'm wondering if I was to just put a dab of crazy glue on this and put the ball there. Right. These things like static. You follow? Or, if I can find a little bit thicker piece of vinyl, I can just run it through the vinyl machine and cut out little round buttons and just stick them on there. But see, this is really not thick. That's the problem. And I really don't want to start putting buttons over buttons, because I would probably have to do 3 layers of this stuff, because it's not as thick as it looks here. So I don't know what I have. You know, like I say, I could order these things. It's not a big deal, and they'll send me one, but sometimes it's just doing it. Now, are we still recording? I want to make sure it's recording it at all, because sometimes you plug it in, it turns on and records. Sometimes you plug it in and it doesn't do anything. Now, I have a whole little container of these foam balls. What I do is I put a piece of double-sided, well, it's duct tape actually, and I reversed it on itself. Then I stuck some of these to it so that I know what's in it. Okay. Like I say, I put the tape on it in reverse, and then I just stuck some of those on there to identify it as what it is. What do you call it? You know, what do you label it? Little foam balls? I don't know. So I can try putting that on there with a dab of glue. But then I was also thinking of these little felt stickers, because it doesn't have to fit it exact. These are little felt things that you would put on the bottom of a piece of something, not a piece of furniture, so you don't scratch it, that type of thing. A smaller one would be nice. I don't know if they've lost their stickiness or not. I think they did. And if they're too big, I can't use it because it'll interfere with the other part of the button. See, it's got to be able to fit in there. I don't know. Well, it fits, it sticks, and it would stick enough once it's on there for a while. But I don't think it's going to be small enough. So let's try something. Let me get them. Wherever they went. Where are they? Where out there? Hold on. And I would normally be doing back there, but I got that generator in the way, which is making it a little difficult. Let me show you what I'm thinking here, which may or may not work. One is putting a little hole in this. I don't want a big one. I just want a little one. Let's see now. Well, you know what? Let's use this. I gotta fix the legs on this. They're right where they're too high and the other ones are too low. And I put my feet on them. You guys know what I'm talking about. Don't make me explain. Over there, because I really hate to have to worry about finding those all over the floor. Let me clean this off. Let me see if I have an opening on this. I do. Just put a few drops. Let's take a little ball and put a little drop. And let me see, that would be this side. And put it right there. Come on. Be nice. Go right where you're supposed to go. I should have brought the accelerator with me. You know, sometimes you have the tendency that you want to just blow on it. This stuff doesn't dry by blowing on it. It's a chemical reaction. And these pliers, I should have my toothpicks instead of these pliers. Not my toothpicks, my tweezers. Okay, so there's one. Now, I'm not going to do anything yet. We're going to let that sit for a few minutes, just to see if, in fact, the glue will hold it enough and keep it in place enough. So anyway, what do I need to do today? Well, the generator's a must because it's taking up all kinds of room, and I do want to be able to use it. I don't want to be stuck where I'm at and then lose power. I can always start up the second one. Just to run the garage, you know, the shop here for a few minutes. Again, that's a smaller one. It's a Yamaha. It's one of the somewhat quieter ones. But I think I don't remember if it's 23 or 2800. I mean, by no means would it run the house. But and would it? I don't think it would run the whole shop. Well, it probably would run the lights and things in the computers, and it does have the EFI system, so you know it's computer safe and all that kind of stuff. But I gotta get the other one fixed and running. This was basically just a maintenance checkup, and during this maintenance checkup of 12 years not doing anything to it, it just became a little bit more, you know, shame on me. So, you know, the lines are in bad shape, so I'm replacing all the lines. I'm gonna put one more on the other side of that volume button, because they gotta be equal, otherwise it's going to wanna keep going up or keep going down, because it'll have pressure on one side. So the generator is going to be next. After that, I still have a little bit of wood in the driveway that I want to get out of the way. So I got to take care of that. Then there was something else I had to do out there. I forgot what the hell it was. Oh, I got to get the Cub Cadet started. That won't start unless I jump start it. I should have seen them right off the bat about that when I bought it, because the battery was bad. That's what it is. If I let it sit out there, I checked, there's no drains on the battery. It's just the battery goes bad overnight. It's dead. That started happening a few months in, but it started also happening when it was winter time and colder weather. I went out there to start it up, because we have a little, you know, lawn trailer to go with it, and I was going to bring some wood out of the woodshed to the shop here, and it's got chains and everything on it, and I went to start it up, and dead. So I thought, okay, maybe it's just the weather. It's cold, you know. It's a new tractor. Can't be anything wrong with it. So I jump started it, put a charger on it, you know, one of these regenerating chargers, to where it's supposed to pull it down and bring it back and all that kind of crap. So I put one of those on there overnight, and the next day I went out there and it started up fine. A couple days later, I think it was like 2 days later, I can fit 2 days worth of wood in the shop here without it getting in my way. So the next thing you know, 2 days later, I go out to get it, and click, 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 click. So I forgot about it, said screw it, we'll just use the big tractor. I was thinking, well, maybe it's just a switch, you know, a safety switch or something, you know, so you're pushing down on it, you know, but it's had nothing to do with that. I even disconnected it for a minute and put jump on it, but again, nothing. I did hook it back up, however, because I don't want the wife to be going out there and starting the thing up in gear accidentally. So now the good thing is, I don't think I'm going to have to screw this back together to see if it's going to work or not. And I'm not going to do much more with it right now. As long as I can at least get it to do something temporarily, that's all I'm concerned about. Sure, put the glue on the thing with my finger so this will stick, but forgot that I put it on my finger. So where's it going to stick first? That one hit the floor. One is not gonna bother me. I just don't wanna see the whole container hit the floor. Alright. So I gotta get the generator done. As soon as I'm done playing with this, I figured this would be good for me to have my coffee, kind of get started, and get the day going. And that's where we're at so far. So far. Okay. Now here, these two connectors down here on the back side, they really don't connect anything on the board, because all that does is take your 1.5 volt batteries and puts them together. You know, like I'm just putting them together. So there's no need, you know, it's just taking this one and putting it to the ground on this one, and then what you do is you take 1.5, 1.5, you put them together, positive to the ground, and now you end up with 3. Letting out some personal information, because we start to consider everybody as really, you know, friends. And the problem being is there's a lot of other people that are on there that are going to be listening that even that button worked. All right. You know, so it's a good idea to try to keep certain things private. I mean, even for a while, well, before my back surgery, the doctors were trying all different types of medication and pain meds and all kinds of crap. But when I threw the scripts out, I would pull the labels off them, because you get the garbage guy, you know, let me check, or somebody at the weigh station or the dump, you know, depending on where it goes, you know, they're seeing an address, a name, you know, they go through your trash. You'd be surprised what your trash can tell. We don't realize it. What do? You get a bill. You know, you throw the envelope that was addressed to you in the trash. Well, that kind of tells them, okay, where you live, who you are, and who sent you the bill. So these are things you got to pay attention of, because you really don't need to be putting that information out there. What I am going to do, though, hopefully anyway, I'm going to try to put a little dab of glue on these, just so they don't slide out of place. And I'm talking about a dab. I've noticed this glue is good stuff. They make 3 different types as far as thicknesses. They have super thick, they have the normal, the so-called medium, I think they call it. Yeah. Then they have super thin. But I noticed that the tip wants to clog up a lot. So when I'm done with it, before I just put the top back on it, I kind of give it a little squeeze with it upright, so I can hear the air going through the tip. So when I put it on, I know that there's no glue in the tip, and it's not going to block the tip. So when I need it the next time, so far it's been working with another one, and that's all that's doing, is that's just connecting the 2 together as if they were back to back. So you don't have to worry about that. Now, which way did this go in here? Ooh, you say. Let me get this screw out of here, because apparently that screw was not disconnected. And that was most of the battle, you know. You know, it kept turning freely, but it wasn't disconnecting. Like now, it's turning like crazy. But this bottom piece is not releasing. And I'm even pulling on it. it's in there, so no wonder this thing wasn't coming apart. I mean, that's... Yeah, I feel it. I'm caught in it. It's turning, but it's like it's like strupped in there. It's strupped. See what I mean? And that's also going to be a problem trying to put it back together. So I got to get some of this either out of there or broken or sanded down or something, because that's going to stop it from going together properly. It's just the reinforcement, because as you've seen, it's snapped together really well. Okay. I really don't want to don't glue this thing together, because you'll never get it apart. Okay, so these two pieces go up here. This little infrared bulb fits up in there, and this fits down in here. Now the bottom battery ones are the ones we want to make sure that are lined up, and once they're lined up, we kind of know the whole thing is lined up at this point. So now let's see if my sweet little styrofoam balls are going to either fall out or do something at this point. Now I don't want to do anything to glue this thing together just yet. I don't want to glue it together. If I have to do anything, I'll put a little tape on it. But for most part, I don't want to glue it together. And if I put tape on it, I want to make sure I don't put tape anywhere where the buttons are. Now, how can I hold this to see in place if it's going to work? Oh, it did something already. There we go. Say something so you can hear you. Change channels.
Someone like me.
Come on, give me something that people are talking, for crying out loud.
Now, more than ever, with rates at historic lows, hope has new meaning.
Boom, boom. Okay, those little styrofoams work. Did you hear it? I don't know if you heard it or not. Trying to find a station where somebody's making some noise. Okay, so we're pretty well set there. I'm not going to worry about the bottom piece. Screw it. I am going to put the battery cover back on, which these are kind of a pain in the ass, but at that point, we're kind of done. Now, the only thing I need to do is make sure that this is going to stay together, because I have those two little balls in there. Until they find a home, this is going to want to kind of not act normal. And because that little screw in the bottom is not doing what it used to do, this is not going to want to do what it's supposed to do. So, I'm thinking a couple of little wire ties. I have one in my hand, and I thought I had more out here. Maybe I used them already? Did I do that, George? Hello, self. All right, let me go get some more wire ties. I need them out here anyway. If you haven't seen me commenting on any of your videos or replying to anything lately, it's just that the last couple days I've really been busy. You know, and to just, well, you know how it is. You start pulling the camera around with you, it just slows you down sometimes. And then you know, do I have it on? Do I have it off? Should I turn it on? Oh, wait a minute, maybe I better turn it off. You know, because again, sometimes a lot of this stuff is private. We get carried away every now and then. All of us do. That I tried it with a few times anyway. I haven't really been in and out of it all that much, so I don't know for sure. the last few times that I've used it, it seems to be working fine. Alright, let's put these over here, because these are something, like I say, I go through a lot of these. I use them for holding things when I'm trying to work on something. You know, then I cut them off, so you know, you kind of waste them. And then I will use them, you know, when I'm taping up something, to put around the end of the tape so that the tape can't come unraveled with the climate changes. So that's another thing you want to get used to doing. But for the most part, I do go through a lot of wire ties. Alright, now that we got that working, I hit a button, I started something here, let me clear it. There we go. What the hell am I watching here?